get BreakTweaker into this too. 2, 3, 4. Need to quantize myself. Hi, how you doing? I'm back from the NAMM show and I'm fired up. Okay, we are looking at BreakTweaker and Omnisphere in each of them to show you the differences between the two, give you tips about each one. My name is John Skippy Limcool. Welcome to a new video. It's early in February. The NAMM show is over. It was a great trip. I'm going to do a summary video after this of the NAMM show. I've got photos and videos and pictures. I've got Emily, this model, who's the girlfriend to a gentleman that I'm working with. We're bringing out a really cool library for Spire, probably early March. Anyway, she wore a Plugin Guru logo shirt made out of latex. That was awesome. So I'll show you that. Anyway, before we get going on all this crazy stuff, please go to my website, pluginguru.com. OMG for Omnisphere. Sabersphere is a new patch library of really cool patches for Omnisphere. It goes on and on. The list is big. I'm redoing the website. It'll come out sometime this year, I hope. The YouTube channel, go there if you need to watch videos. There's over 100 videos now. It's pretty cool. The Facebook page, I've got information here on how to get Omnisphere 2 for $426. An album that came out with a whole bunch of Omnisphere and other sounds of mine from different libraries. Oh, there's Emily. So more on that we'll cover in a little bit. So make sure that you come to the Plugin Guru different channels if you need information. So we're going to start with BreakTweaker because that came out first and it's the bigger of the two libraries. This has the chill, the dance, film, the dubstep, hip hop, trance, techno, trap. It's got all these different genres in it. The one for Omnisphere, because of the dividing in the multis, and we'll cover that when we get there, it's just a dubstep, chill, film, and hip hop and trap. So there's another library coming out probably March, April that will have nothing but the dance and the trance because those two equaled more grooves than all the other ones combined by like 4 or 5. There's like 49 in volume 1. The volume 2 will be like 53, 54, something like that. I can't remember the exact number. First of all, the difference. The main difference is that, well, you have the kits the way they are here. If you were to go to a dubstep kit, say Kick It, you have the samples and the groove. If you go to Omnisphere and you go to dubstep Kick It, where's the K's? Here's Kick It. Here's the kit. So it's the same samples as you'll find over here. Right? If you want the groove, that's available here when you go to the loop and it's Kick It. I put the tempo right there so I know that I need to bring this down to 90 instead of 142 beats per minute. And but I can do more because it's an Omnisphere in a way. Also, we'll cover this when we get there, but every one of these has effects, compressors, EQ on each drum sound. You do not have that inside of BreakTweaker. So that is one of the big differences. The other difference being that because of the effects and the way Omnisphere works, I could take this, move the mod wheel, make alternate grooves, right? Okay. However, the thing you have in BreakTweaker that you don't have in Omnisphere is all of the different groove patterns. All these numbered down here, there's 11. So you got... So you can break down, no snare. Okay, so BreakTweaker gives you all these alternate patterns to work with, which is awesome for song building. Omnisphere is song building, but it's also for song writing. It's kind of like I wanted to apply it more towards the creative process where you can do more with it than just the grooves. And then the third thing that the Omnisphere version gives you that the BreakTweaker doesn't is the groove version, where the low C plays the groove, and then you have it taken all the way out to the extremes of being a songwriting tool to jam with. This is so fun to play with. It's insane. It's really fun. We will cover tips and tricks on Omnisphere, grooves, changing the sounds, changing the patterns and stuff in a minute. We are now going to focus on BreakTweaker. So here you have Kick It. First things you should know, some of these are CPU heavy, and there's a couple tricks you can do to minimize that. The main one being bounce, or recording it as audio. If you sequence the part, if you sequence that in and then recorded that as audio, you could now place that in to your song as audio instead of BreakTweaker. And that would save you obviously a whole lot of CPU power because it's now just audio files. The other possibility is to look at what parts you don't need. Maybe you don't need this bass part, so you'd hit the M button for mute. That would save some power because it's no longer playing the sample and the other things connected to it. And in some cases, it can be layers of sounds that require a lot of CPU power. Okay? So when you're playing through the grooves in BreakTweaker, if there's certain things that, say you call it creeping, maybe you want to use Serum, or you want to use Toxic FM8 patches or something for a bass part. You wouldn't need the sub and the bass, so mute those. And maybe the hi-hat, maybe you want to have a different hi-hat pattern, so just click in here. And maybe you start playing with it and you go, that kick's not right. Well, you can click right here where it shows the folder, and here's where you can go through the drums. And there's directories based on genres, and then down here based on categories. And if it's, I have two libraries now. I've got Mega Macho drums. Those don't have anything at the end of their folder names. The OMG ones do. So if you go to the kicks for OMG, here they are. So you could say, you can use your arrow up and down. There you go. Now, if you took the hi-hat, like here I added that extra stuff, right? So you can right click on this, track, copy, say for here, I want to paste that same track. So, okay. So the copy and paste functionality is really cool. Maybe you want to do something different. Let's have this be really fast ratchet. So to do those, you take one division, give it a whole bunch of pieces to chop up and have it start really fast and go slow. And you can watch right here. See this? This shows you the timing. You can actually move this so that the parts line up with the timing grid towards the end where it's really important. Like right there, I want that last one to land on a 16th note just right, right? So. And if I want, I could just click on this piece right here and say copy. Maybe for here, I want that instead of this for the number 2 groove, or actually it's number 3 groove, but go right here and say paste. There you go. You can do other things like let's have this be a dum dum dum. So we'd say let's do this. Let's change the pitch to be an octave. Copy, paste. Set to 7, so it's a 5th. And let's do this. Since that sustained so long, go like this and take this to be a toggle choke so it'll kill it. Stop it earlier. So you have tools in BreakTweaker that are really fun to play with. Another thing that's really cool is this. Let's do the hip hop. Let's go down to, actually trance, because this will be really fun. Let's call up Big Mac, which is a trance groove. And if we want to just replace everything sound-wise, you can go over here and say load only the kit. So now, have a hip-hop kit. Yeah! I mean, off you. Sorry. So, the point is, because it's one genre, doesn't mean it's that genre at all. I mean, that's like industrial techno. That's not trance, right? So, by turning on load kit only, you have all of these kits to play with. It's really awesome. Go up here to the dance. This is not scripted. I'm just doing this on the fly. So it's fun when it works like this. Even the high energy. Here's drive. You could even go to Mega Macho Drums and go to one of these that's a completely different, a whole different philosophy for how to make sounds, everything. And totally different. Some film. So if you need new ideas for songs, boom! I mean, come on, right? It's everywhere. I mean, there's so much fun stuff here. You could take any one of these, say let's go back to BreakTweaker for OMG, and let's say hip hop. Okay. Turn on load kit only, and let's see what happens when we get trance. Sounds like the start of a chill album to me. Oh, that's really cool. I like that. So you get the idea. You get the point. This is a rhythm playground. The way it's set up, yeah, I can do all the really intricate, crazy stuff, and so you sound just like a BT album, which don't do it. Just don't. Find creative ways to use this so you don't sound like someone that's already done it way too much already. Okay? Yeah. So you got that to work with. It's very cool for the rhythmic starting of ideas. There's a couple other tricks I want to show you. Say that you're playing. I want the snare to be a little bit more pizzazzy. So we can go over here to Distortion, And I think I showed this trick in the Mega Macho Drums tutorial. When you turn on warm, it can make sounds more aggressive, but even more importantly, the tone is an EQ. So it can make things brighter or darker, right? Now, if we wanted to trick around with this for a second, let's say sample, click here to browse. Here's your folders of samples. Let's go to tonal from Guru 2. That's the OMG folders. Okay, and we want to trick it out a little bit. So let's go over here to an LFO and go to LFO, say sync, and we want it to be a rate of 16th notes just for fun. See how that works. And let's choose a different waveform. So we can go to warm, or let's choose something else. So this is laid with the snare. So, I mean, the possibilities of what you can do. Here, let's listen to the snare by itself. The distortion's making the high pops and that's very cool. So you have tools inside of BreakTweaker to change it some, not a lot. That's where Omnisphere is going to kind of really open up the OMG category because you have all of the effects of Omnisphere. We'll look at that in a minute. Another thing I want to point out is you do have envelopes. So we could have, let's see. Let's have envelope 1 now in charge of the filter. Okay. This puts the filter before the distortion, so the distortion is affecting after the filter. So the distortion is not being filtered, whereas here it is. That's why you hear it darker and the pulse is more intense. Here it's not so intense because the distortion is after the fact, and it's kind of following the shape of that, but the distortion has its own personality. So, and each of these presets will give you a different thing. Okay. Here's aliasing. So that is, in a nutshell, the ability to change, loading just a kit to replace. It's keeping all the synth settings as far as the groove goes, but the sounds are changing. So it's an exploring playground for rhythm, but you can't build anything else because it's just those 6 sounds and manipulating those 6 sounds. So hopefully that gives you some ideas. Bounce it down if you can't play it live, because bounce will give you a chance to use things that your computer can't play. This works for Omnisphere too, and it works for anything. If you've got I've done a number of mixes on records where I couldn't actually play all the tracks. at once unless I use the freeze function of Logic Pro X, or it was Pro at the time probably, or Pro X, I don't know. But most sequencers now have that ability to freeze or bounce the audio. And by doing that, you can get 16 tracks of crazy stuff where each one of those would kill your computer. But as audio, the 16 play fine. It's just a matter of nailing what you want it to do before you bounce it, or else having the ability to go back and change it and then rebounce it again or refreeze it again. Okay, so there. Okay, so now we're going from BreakTweaker to Omnisphere. Omnisphere 2.1, make sure that you have the latest version. That's important for this to work, so that when you go under your utility, you have install Omnisphere to load the library. Just select that. If the window doesn't show up or something else weird happens, there's always reset defaults and preferences, which will reset Omnisphere, and that fixes problems quite often, thank goodness. So be aware of that. That's a free bonus tip. Okay, I'm going to show you some tips and tricks when using Omnisphere 2.1 and drum samples and OMG and this layout. It's kind of unique how it's programmed, and I've seen some people work with it, and I want to make sure you guys are clear on how it works and what to do. I'm using a 5-octave keyboard, and if you have a less than 5-octave keyboard, when you play the low C on your keyboard, you might get that instead of a drum groove when you're on these groove files. So you have to hit the transpose down an octave button to find where the drum is. Because there's a low C, not this one more lower, which plays the drum groove. That's the drum machine start and stop button. And you can change that. If you go to stack it, if you want it to be lower, if you have an 88-note keyboard, click on the lower part of these tracks and just drag them down to wherever the lowest note on your keyboard is, like this. I'm just guesstimating. Let's say it's like that. And then you can have these guys have the full range if you want, or not. If you do, you just click here and go like that. And then check to make sure when you play notes that you've got no blank spaces. And then just go up here, go save multi, and maybe just call it 88 or whatever you want to, and then hit save, and you have to go through the process, and you can just use the same tags as this one, and that will let you set it up so now it triggers on a different note on the keyboard. So that's one option I want to show you guys. Now, the way this library was built, I want you guys to understand how this works. So I sampled out each of the samples from BreakTweaker, mapped them to the drum kit, right? And then I went to BreakTweaker. Let's go to Power Up, just so we can see the process real quick. And the original groove was 175. So if you look on the Omnisphere, I actually thought it should be a little bit faster, but the saved was 175. If you want to go over here and set it to 186, 175, here's 186. Why did I set it so fast? Okay, that's cool. So I took the kit. I can't play that fast. And I then went to each of the parts and I programmed the arpeggiator to do the basic elements. I went through and I decided which parts I wanted to have. I didn't want any of the drums. I just wanted the bass parts to have tracking on. So I turned that on. So now if you want to have fun, you could turn the snare and the hi-hats on. So you could even turn the kick on if you want it to be like really tiny. And now, if I'm going to write a song, I might want to go over here to the bass parts and mute them. So I just have just the drums. Okay. So I created the groove. I didn't create the groove yet. I'd made the kit. I'd copied all the patterns from the original groove to the arpeggiator for each of the 6 parts to make the loop. Then those presets I gave you, those allow you to remap really quickly from loop to groove. And that's for one note down low plays all of the samples and their arpeggiators at the same time. And then you can right click to turn on latch mode, or you could go over here and turn on the latch button, and this way you can quickly see whether something is latched. And now when I click a note, it's on. Click that same note again and it's off. So that's how I did the grooves, and then I took it one step further in that above that like here I used the sub bass, and then I made another bass patch so that and then I spent all this time getting the mod wheel to do cool things to the drums and also the bass. Takes all the low end away, goes squelchy. And then I was in a dream. Got the idea. At this point, I saved the groove and I deleted the kit and the loop. The reason I deleted them is because I wanted these drum effects. I wanted these effects on both the loop and the kit. So when you go to the kit, if you move the mod wheel, it's the same thing that happens in the groove. Same with the loop. If you go to the loop, and if I didn't delete those and then reverse engineer from the groove where I spent all this time on the effects and the mod wheel doing cool things, then the kit and the loop wouldn't be cool. And so I wanted everything to be in sync, like nailed. That's how I work. I also had my assistant, Taylor Harris, that awesome dude. Each one of these, when I make these, is named like this is power up. So it's power up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for each of the samples, because I need to know which one is for which of the 6 parts. And then I build it from there. Taylor Harris made a spreadsheet where he listed every single 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and what was used in the multi, and then what the names were that we gave each of these is what he went back and resaved the wave files with the sample names so that it could be converted back into Omnisphere with new names that all had kick at the beginning or snare at the beginning or hat at the beginning, and then repatched those to all the grooves. And then I took it from there and I made the loops and I made the kits. It was a huge amount of work, and we worked our butts off. Like, I worked until 2 or 3 in the morning, 10, 11 days in a row before the NAMM show to get this done. I wanted it to come out before the NAMM show. That was my goal. The advantage of that is, as you're sitting here playing this, I can change the different kick drums. I can... And the pattern keeps grooving exactly what it is, right? Go to the snare. For the hi-hats, change that to be... Take the tuning up. I mean, it's there. You can go crazy. The effects, go to the effects. Here's an EQ already to... Now, the reason, not besides this, the reason that I thought, and I think I stand correct, the reason this is so badass for drums is because you have all of the parameters inside of Omnisphere available for the synth engine on drum samples. And I cannot think, quite honestly, of any. There's a couple that are maybe close, but not in the whole scope of the whole picture of what this has. This has FM, ring mod, wave shaping, which does sample rate converting, all this cool stuff. Put unison on a snare, that's the hi-hats. Go here. Set it to wide range so it's detuned weird. Go over here and click on that and tell that to be randomized. Oh, I wanted to show you. You can go over here to the hi-hat and solo here. Or you could also go here to main, and there's a solo and a mute right here. Isn't that cool? Go to the snare. Oh, we got to go back here and turn solo off. Go to the snare. Let's see, unison, chorus. That's bad. Then go to the effects, bring up the distortion. Go to creative, add inner space, freak out. I mean, can you think of any other plugin that you could do that quickly with these kind of effects? It doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. So this is why I was so excited and why I called the library OMG. I saw this in my head when we were working on the BreakTweaker version. I saw where I could take this in Omnisphere, and I was like, oh my God, this is going to be really fun. So fun to have all this stuff. If you want, let's take this really quickly just to show you some other ideas of possibilities. Let's mute the bass parts. So it's just a groove. Okay, turn off the, where am I at on my snare? No more distortion. And let's turn off unison for a second. Okay, so that snare has a lot of reverb on it. This is the other reason why Omnisphere is so cool. If you hit the little expander here, you've got multi-segment envelope. So you could say add. And you gotta look at the release because the release is what's ringing. Make this be like a 4 pulse. Okay, so we go to the kick drum, part 1. I want that to snap more, so add a segment to the amp. Have it snap down really fast. And then be gone. And no release, so it's... When you go to the distortion, remember you have all of these presets, and you have a mix. So I'm at 50%. You might want to bring up the input. Now that might need a little more room, so hit lock so that the ending parameters don't go. Let's find another sample. Okay, now let's turn on FM. For this, the snare. Let's go something like overtones, this would be cool. Boost. Hi-hats, that's FM them out. So you have parameters to do such cool things. On top of this, so I'm at the program level changing parameters on this level. You can also go to the multi, to the effects. This is the global, when you go to the master, all the sounds, no matter what's happening, unless they're assigned to separate outputs, then they go dry and they go to their own place. But if it's to the stereo outputs, they all pass through this effect chain. So I have it set up ahead of time with a little sweetening to the low end, a little sweetening to the high end, a compressor on it. So if you want, Get more snappy. You do that. That's cool. Go creative. Go weird if you want. I mean, one of my favorite effects is right here under distortion. No, amplifier, thrift shop speaker. And there's all of these different types of phones, kitchen, intercom, headphones. There's reverb things in there. And this is applying this to the whole kit. So bring down the high end. I mean, you can get crazy, crazy. I mean, you can go crazy. There is an awful lot here to play with. So I want you to be aware of this, how this is set up. Not only this, now go to the arpeggiator. It's best if it's not playing a groove. So this might be something that's good to test with the loop versions. If you use the groove versions, it's got the trigger on. Just make sure everything's off before you change arpeggiator patterns, because when you change patterns, it stops playing for just that one part. And all the others keep playing, and it gets to be a little bit kind of challenging to use sometimes. Go down here. Here's where you see the presets, and this is why there's all these presets. So you can go to the starters. I have to keep going around my webcam. Here's 4x4. Just doing that totally changed it from D&B to... And we could turn this off. And let's do this. To quickly change this, like it's all changed in a different way. Go over here. Actually, we can see it from here. There we go. Go down here to the kicks. Now, by calling up the programs are saved with the ARP off. But it has the original pattern that it was used in wherever it was used in the multis. So just turn it on by turning on the power button here. And then if you like that sound, all you have to do is just go looking through the whole list. Here's all the different kicks. Maybe the hi-hat part we want to choose something different. So we can go down here. Hi-hat cymbals. Cool. Now, if the I wanted to show you also, if the velocity, I want it to be softer. So go to the amp and bring the velocity sensitivity higher. And that way, the arpeggiator velocity values really show up. So you have all of these places to mix things up, to personalize this and make it your own. You can just go changing the arpeggiator patterns here. You could call up completely different sounds by calling up different patches. I want to show you one more thing that's kind of helpful sometimes with sequencing. I have found that if you call up these grooves or the loops not so much because it's not set to trigger. It's the grooves where I have set up where these trigger on 16th notes. And if you're trying to sequence this with your sequencer, it can be tricky to get the timing right. And it's set to trigger on 16th notes. And I have found that if you put this to immediate, and actually if you want, it's also helpful sometimes with these to turn off latch. This is for the grooves. If you're going to use them in a sequencing environment and situation. The reason for that is latch, play a note, it starts to play, but it doesn't stop playing the latch when you stop your sequencer. And it's something that I've actually requested Spectrasonics' beta and software development team to think about adding maybe an option under the settings here or something so that Latch would turn off when you stop your sequencer, because right now it doesn't. So if you have Latch turned off, now and you have trigger to immediate, so you can quantize the timing after you've played it to make sure it's in great timing. But you know, and then when you stop your sequencer, it'll just stop because it's based on you holding down a note instead of based on the Latch feature that's built into Omnisphere. All right, so does that hopefully show you the places you can change things? There's so many places to change things. By adding effects on the multi-effects master, that affects everybody. It's really cool. Oh, I want to teach you guys how to do auxiliary effects real quick. If you watched my earlier video, I was drinking a chai latte. Now it's lemonade. Yummy. Okay, so for this, I'm going to call up something. Yeah, this will be good. I want to show you how this works. I was almost going to forget how to do this. Do you now? Let's call up a film one to play with. And this, the way that I organize the loop, that number tells you the tempo to play like it was over in BreakTweaker or where I think it sounds best. So the mod wheel puts you to the end of the battle. All these dead bodies everywhere. Snare drum goes away. Everybody else goes away except for the clank and the big bass drum, which has even huge reverb on it, right? Then you bring the mod wheel up. The synth sound has these really cool effects on it. You get the idea. It's really cool. Another example where you might want to go in to the live page and turn off the trigger mode and the latch mode when you're sequencing. Don't forget that. It makes this triggering when you... I found times where the sequencer and it are in sync, and I found times where it's not. So it works better in a sequencing environment without the trigger and without latch, just so you know. Let's turn these off just for the moment. Now, the bass drum, let's look at the snare drum. So we're gonna go over here and we're gonna hit solo from the main page. Oh, it's not this, that's, there it is. There's like this orchestral tom kind of thing, kind of doing what the snare is doing on part 2. Part 3 is the snare. Okay. Now, the way to find out what is what, because you got to know what is what, right? Is to hit the little magnifying glass on modulation. This will show you the list of all the parameters per patch. If you go up here to the big guys with all the stuff going on, some of these, it's multiple pages. There's 2 pages. This tells you what is doing what. And you can look at this, quickly see mod wheel is changing auxiliary send. It's doing the reverb mix. It's doing cutoff resonance, filter envelope depth. It's doing volume. All these things are happening for this one sound. So we could solo this one sound. Oh, it's muted right now. But if we go solo, oh, it's... So there's a lot happening. Oh, this has the coolest effect. Oh, I'm so happy I picked this. Check this out. So the low frequency damp, I have, check this out. This is so cool. I have random assigned to it. So it tricks it to be like a random LFO. Each time it plays a note, it's a different value for the low frequency damp. So it's cutting low wind out of the reverb. So you get that. Isn't that cool? And then down, you don't hear it so much. Isn't that cool? So that's a cool trick. I was really happy to find that. Now you know. So let's not use that sound. Let's turn that off and go to the snare drum like we were planning all those hours ago. Okay. Let's look at the list. Wheel has cut off, inverted, so it's getting dark. Resonance is coming up. But right here's what I want to look at. Amplitude. Amplitude 100% is going in the negative. Let's make that less. And let's go over here. We want to do something different. We want to have this modulate the pitch. So we set that to wheel. Oh, not wheel. Change that, correct that. Where's my, yeah, mod wheel. Oh, I'm doing pitch, fine. I want to do pitch coarse. Okay, that's what I was expecting it to do. So, okay. Now the auxiliary effects. This is a really cool part of Omnisphere that you guys got to know about. If we do this under the A, this is the A, layer A is the snare drum. We don't have anything assigned to B, so if you put something on the effect B channel, you're not going to hear it until you assign something to that. But we're not going to do that. So we've called up a proverb. Long time, no pre-delay, maybe a little more high end. Okay, so we bring it to 0 and we modulate this with a wheel. So now, get lots of reverb. When I bring the wheel down, it's gone. No matter, and let's make the Pro Mix even stronger with the mod wheel. So it's ringing a long time. I want to ring a long time. When I bring the mod wheel to 0, it's gone immediately. Right? I don't want that. So you can do this. Since I put it here, I'm just going to say copy, turn it off, and I can just go paste that rack. Now there's two places to control the auxiliary send, and this is depending on how flexible you want to be and how complex you want to be. Common will control the auxiliary send for both layer A and layer B. Now if I had something on layer B, say I had, let's just call it a weird sound. Right? I got this weird sound. If I wanted to, I could go to B and I could control the mod wheel sending of the auxiliary bus just to the B layer. So the snare drum isn't going through that reverb, just this weird B layer is. Or I could say no, unmodulate, go to the common, modulate. Let's now try it. Now it's all going through it. So that's the flexibility of why there's an auxiliary send knob on A, B, and common. You can control A and B at different amounts if you want to have one maybe just a little bit, while B goes completely radical, you know. You decide how you want to use it. Okay? And by doing it this way, the cool thing is if I go here and I unsolo. So here we are. I'm bring the mod wheel up. Now it's all going through the reverb. It's really cool. When I bring the mod wheel down, hear that ringing out? Still ringing out. It doesn't die away immediately like it does if you were to just have it over here on a channel. Because here it's immediately on, immediately off. When it's an auxiliary bus, what you're doing is you're controlling the sound going into it or not going into it. But once it's in it, it's running on its own. This is the volume of it on the auxiliary send back into the mix. So if that's at max, then you're going to have stuff that just rings out however it rings out. So that's why auxiliary buses are so cool. And I used them very extensively on a lot of these because it was really fun to make something cool and different. Where this is one of Airwaves. He did some rather fun things to a lot of these. This is 75, so we gotta go 75. Oh, this is the film one. It's so cool. So isn't this bass sound? This stuff ringing out, that's because of auxiliary buses. Now you know. So cool. From that to that. This is crazy. So much fun. Okay, so you know how to change things. You understand now how the effects work and how we went crazy with the insert of, that's a whole new thing in Omnisphere too, was the addition of those auxiliary buses on the patch level and letting you have control of them in real time by all sorts of things. Put randomize on the send amount. So it's randomly sending stuff or not. Okay, I'm gonna stop here. Thank you to all of you. It just blows me away how many of you are getting into this and sending really nice notes to me. So it opens up a whole big can of worms of fun worms, right? It's really fun to have these to start with, but make sure you customize them. If even what's really cool with this, like let's go back to Far Station. Okay, this is, if you look at it here, you can see it's all these parts and then this one patch, number 7. So go to 7, go to the patches, go down the list, find BPM synth, choose something else. Now there's a pitch. Let's do this. Little real world example. So that tells me I have to play in a certain key. Sometimes I'm allergic to that, right? So go to 6. I'll show you how to quickly change this. The wave shaper is awesome for mangling things that have pitch to not have pitch. You can use this, the wave shaper. Take it up in pitch. And it's got some weird stuff because the quantization is trying to calculate things as they're getting really soft and level. Now something like that, it's become this really high little, I'm gonna show you a cool trick. So let's go to A, to the effects. And let's put a really cool delay that has color. The radio delay has a resonant filter that's all cranked. Bring up feedback. Maybe let more high frequency in. Then maybe go here and randomize this. This is why every patch that's in, that's gonna ring a long time. What was it, 6? Yeah. Less feedback. And then since it's up high, when sounds get high, they get to where they take up more of the stereo, they get more big. So let's turn it down a little more. Now it's just this cool little element in there. Okay, part 3. Don't want that to have pitch. Let's find another way to do it. Check this out. How about the quad resonators? Or lifter. There. So you have so many tools and places to play with now. And hopefully by watching my videos, you know more about these. The ring modulator is really cool. Put noise as the source boost. Maybe put a distortion after this to get it to be bigger and kind of cool. Then maybe you'll need something like utility because it's so soft and bring up the gain. And that might be cool going into reverb. So the spring reverb, make it really wide. Cool. EQ a little bit. Not quite loud. You can get lost so easily, and it's so fun. So I'm going to stop there, I promise. Keep stopping and starting again. Enjoy. If you have questions, contact me through the website, pluginguru.com. I'm looking at March, April, probably for volume 2, which is bigger than volume 1 because there was 53, I think, is the number for the dance and trance compared to 49 for the chill, D&B, dance, chill, D&B, film, dubstep, glitch hop, hip hop, rock, and trap. Okay? So, thank you, and I hope these tips help, and I'll see you in another video soon.